Now, we're seeing rising tension in Kaduna, where armed groups, we'll call them bandits, kidnappers, possibly terrorist-type elements, have been very active for some time. For example, on 28th October 2025, in the Farin Dutse community of Koru local government area, a priest was killed and over 20 church members abducted in a raid by suspected bandits. Also in early October, a farmer was abducted and murdered in Kachia local government area, just about 3 kilometers from a military base. So the insecurity has been mounting. Here's the new move. The federal troops are reportedly entering the forests, the hideouts, the remote regions of Kaduna State in a major operation. This is forcing the bandits to run for safety, abandon their camps, flee into deeper forest or across borders. This shift is significant because it suggests the security forces are taking the battle to the bandits rather than just responding to attacks. What does that mean for you and for the people of Kaduna? A couple of things. Firstly, from the bandits' side, they've had areas where they felt untouchable. Forests, hideouts, local support or safe zones. But with strong troop movement, these safe zones are shrinking. The fact that they are running for safety means they anticipate being hit. Good news for local communities, but also means possible flare-ups. Bandits may lash out in desperation. Secondly, for the local residents, this is a mixed bag. On the one hand, seeing troops means hope, protection, possibility of resettlement, farming without fear. On the other hand, when large military operations happen, there's always the risk of collateral damage, displacement, camps being destroyed, which may affect innocent people too. For instance, in earlier operations in Kaduna's forests, civilian camps and herders' camps were reported to have been burned as troops hunted bandits. So the mood in the villages will be anxious. You will see both relief and fear. Thirdly, from the government and security apparatus point of view, this is a test of commitment and means. It means they are likely shifting from defensive to proactive posture. But as always, the challenge will be sustaining that momentum. Good intelligence, coordination with local communities, and after operations, ensuring peace holds. As often, bandits return once troops leave. Let's walk through a timeline of what likely led here. Banditry, kidnappings, terror attacks have long plagued southern Kaduna and parts of the northwest of Kaduna State. For example, the Kauru attack, the Kachia abduction. The state government and security agencies have been asking for more troops, more presence along certain highways and forest corridors. The troops respond with forest sweeps, ambushes, attacking hideouts. For example, in 2-3 in Chikun local government area, troops destroyed their hideout, rescued 14 victims. Now the scale appears to have increased. We're hearing of bandits running for safety. So we are in a phase of increased operations. What should you watch out for if you're in Kaduna or have family there? A few tips. Stay alert. If you live in village or forest edge areas, pay attention to announcements from local security or traditional leaders about curfews or military operations. Avoid the forests or escape routes. Bandits may use those for fleeing or regrouping. Also, the troops may conduct operations in those zones. Safety risk. Community vigilance. Local people who know the terrain can help security forces by reporting strange movements, abandoned camps, etc. That cooperation helps. But also humanitarian awareness. If a camp is destroyed or if people are displaced, help may be needed. Food, shelter, medical support. Keep an eye out for local NGO or government assistance. So, let's examine the implications of this bandits run for safety moment. Positive implication. The bandits' morale may drop, their logistics may be caught. Abductions may decrease if their hideouts are destroyed. Risk. They might stage retaliatory attacks on softer targets, on villages off-grid, to reassert power, or as asymmetric response. Opportunity. This moment is ideal for government and stakeholders to push for restoration of normalcy, reopening of roads, resettlement of displaced persons, revitalizing farming, which was disrupted. Sustainability challenge. After the initial push, there is risk of fade out. If troops withdraw or operations become complacent, bandits may return. So long-term deterrence is key. Let me bring a related talk point. Because while we focus on Kaduna, this kind of insecurity is not isolated. Across northwest Nigeria, states like Zamfara have similar operations where troops force bandits to flee, recover weapons, and destroy camps. For instance, in Zamfara state recently, troops of Operation Fasinyama launched a major offensive, neutralized criminals, and recovered caches of weapons. What this shows is a pattern. Large-scale military operations are becoming the strategy. The big question, will it lead to permanently improved security or just temporary reprieve? One thing to point out, the civilian role in this fight is crucial. Troops can have the firepower, but local intelligence, community cooperation, safe zones, clear communication matter. Without community trust, bandits may find support again. So if you're watching in Kaduna or any impacted area, your voice matters. Staying coordinated with neighborhood watches, local security committees can help. Now, looking ahead, what might next steps look like? After this phase of bandits fleeing, there should be mop-up operations, identifying remaining hideouts, blocking escape routes, coding supply chains. Resettlement programs. Villages previously abandoned may need to return. Farmlands reopened. Catch and release mechanisms. When suspects are captured, there must be legal follow-through so they don't just go back to banditry. Monitoring and evaluation. Knowing if operations succeed, not just in destroying camps, but also in reducing kidnappings, attacks, and giving citizens peace. Right now, many of the federal troops are focusing on those forest belts that connect communities like Beningwari, Giwa Axis, down through parts of Chikun, and then the southern Kaduna corridor. These places are not just forests. They are like natural hiding spots, deep bush, rough terrain, and for long, those areas have been used by armed groups to move freely. So when troops push in with force, with vehicles, drones, and ground units, you will naturally see bandits scattering. They don't want to engage straight on because they know the firepower is not on their side. But let's look at what is happening inside the communities during this period. When troops move in strong, villagers will hear movement. They'll see patrols, sometimes helicopters in the sky. Sometimes you'll see the roads blocked for a few hours. People get scared because they don't know what may happen next. Some families may temporarily move to relatives' houses in safer towns until the tension calms down. Farming activities slow down because nobody wants to be inside the bush when there is military action happening. That is why you'll hear people saying things like, government should sustain the operation, because when soldiers come and leave too quickly, the bandits sometimes return even more angry. So the focus now is not just entering the forest, but staying long enough to stabilize the area. Let me add something that you may find interesting. When operations like this happen, there's usually a second ripple effect. Some of the fleeing bandits move toward neighboring states, especially places with loose forest lines or weak security presence. That's why surrounding states usually raise their alert levels. When Kaduna has a major operation like this, it becomes a regional issue, not just a Kaduna issue. So the cooperation among states is very important. Now, on the community side, again, you will see many people saying they want government to follow this up with road security, escort patrols, checkpoints, more surveillance. Because the truth is, even when the main camps are destroyed, some smaller groups may still attempt roadside attacks. So, stability has to be maintained gradually, not rushed. Let's talk about the relief part. Because, honestly, when you have been living with fear for so long, just hearing that the bandits are running, instead of attacking, brings a kind of emotional relief. Mothers can sleep better. Farmers can think of going back to their land. Traders can move from one village to another without shaking inside. This is why many people online are celebrating the news, saying, finally, government is serious. Now, let's talk about something related so you can fully understand the gist. In situations like this, what usually helps security forces is local intelligence, meaning ordinary villagers quietly giving them information. And you know, Nigerians, we hear everything. Even if it is happening deep inside the bush, someone knows somebody that saw something. So when residents trust that the soldiers are serious, they start reporting movement. They start pointing out abandoned huts, old routes, small camps. That makes the work faster and more effective. And let me touch on this too, because people don't always talk about it openly. When bandits start running from one zone to the other, some of them disguise as travelers, herders, or even young boys carrying small bags. This is why troops usually set up stop and search points around major exits of the forest. It is not to disturb innocent people. It is to filter out those who may try to slip out quietly. Now, something you should also keep in mind. Sometimes, after a strong push by troops, you'll see community leaders and state officials holding meetings, trying to plan the next steps, like rebuilding schools, repairing farms, strengthening vigilante groups. These are the follow-ups that actually create long-term peace. If they don't do that part, the problem can start again. So while everyone is excited that the bandits are running, we should also look at what comes next. Another thing we shouldn't ignore is communication. Government must keep people informed, even if it is small updates, so villagers don't panic unnecessarily. Because imagine hearing gunshots far away in the bush and not knowing what is happening. Fear spreads fast, so giving people updates helps calm the community and builds confidence. And for those of you watching right now, yes, please, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. It really helps this channel grow and helps us keep bringing you authentic, simple, and straight cues you can understand. Now, before we move into the next part, where we will look at the possible next wave of troop actions, the expected reaction from the fleeing bandits, and how this may affect Kaduna residents in the coming days, I'm reaching the word limit.